Hi everyone and welcome back to Outback Polaks with another vlog about the wonderful Polonia Polish club here in Milton as the sausage gate or kielbasa gate situation continues on. We're only 4 days away from the meeting now, aren't we?
Yes, Tuesday the 30th of March.
Yeah. And I'm joined with Elisa. And Elisa, do you want to introduce yourself and just quickly explain what your role in this is?
Sure. Pavel, my name's Elisa Hess. I'm a community advocate for the Polish community, and my role in relation to the Polish Club issues has been really just to provide a sense of coordination and voice for some of the members of the club and wider community who would like their issues addressed on like a higher level, global level. I'm also the PR officer for the Federation of Polish Associations in Queensland, which is a recently formed peak body for Polish organisations in the state.
Fantastic. And yet this is basically, you've been helping us so much to make sure that this is all resolved. And I want to really thank everyone for your support and kind messages that have been coming through, especially from you, Elisa. Your long posts on my YouTube channel, this is great. It just gives me more information.
It's just a way of, it's very difficult to interact with everybody one-on-one simply because of the volume of requests coming in. And, obviously this is not my main job. It's sort of, what you do in your spare time around your job. Yeah. So I just find that by posting things on your videos, for example, it's just a way of me to communicate messages without having to do it on an individual basis. Much as I would like to do that, there is not the time, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we haven't had a proper means of communication because we're either all being blocked or questions not being answered, whether it is by the committee or the secretary or the president. We have no official way of communicating with the management group.
Yeah, look, it's unfortunate. I myself have been blocked from commenting on the Facebook, and I have questioned why that is. I cannot see what I did, and this was now going back over a year as to what I did to not comply with some kind of policy or protocol for commenting. But unfortunately, the bigger problem is when you email them directly, there are just no responses. And, I personally, in relation to my own appeal of my membership rejection, have probably at this point 15 or so follow-up emails with no response. I also recently was able to see the treasurer of the club at the Polish club and tried to ask her why she is not responding to my emails and to other people's emails. And, essentially that interaction did not go very well. I was told that she did not need to speak to me. I was not a member. And, in the end, I was accused of being a bully and harassing her for simply asking why emails are not being responded to. So we're still facing the issue of lack of engagement and communication directly with members and with interested people in the community.
And I think the most important thing here is, though, that you have had a meeting with OFT, which is the Office of Fair Trading, and we're not going to go into the great detail because I'm sure that some of that information can't be shared. But I think the biggest question that I have and to put through to the whole community that have been asking me is, should people go to the meeting on Tuesday if they don't know if they are members, or if they were members but never been offered the renewal or denied renewal and all these sort of things, or excluded? Yes. And their appeals not heard? Should they turn up to the meeting?
Yeah. So look, this is a decision for everyone to take for themselves. What I can say is that yesterday in the meeting with the Office of Fair Trading, they said that in their view, anyone who considers themselves to be a member in that they, did everything by the book, paid the fees, or, if they were rejected or terminated, they instigated an appeal and that has not been responded to or seen through. In the OFT's view, they are entitled to attend. Now, the question is whether they will be let in, right? That's a separate question, and the club's made it very clear that they intend to have security and, a door list and other sorts of measures to prevent entry. So we can't guarantee that they will be admitted, but at least in the Office of Fair Trading's view, they think that they had asked the club to make this meeting as accessible and open to all, to the point of saying you really should have applications at the door that people can complete and to be able to get into the room. Now, I do not foresee that actually happening, but I think the message from the OFT was quite permissive. What we want to ensure is that the meeting is able to proceed in an orderly fashion. There's no, sort of disruptions or anything. But I think people can go, and if on the day they're denied entry, well, so be it.
And I think that's the most important message here as well. Look, if you can attend, please attend. Show your support. but act calmly and rationally. Don't provoke the committee, the committee or the management committee. Don't provoke them in any way. We want this meeting to conclude to see what actually has happened for the past 2.5 years, whatever length of time it has been. But everyone just needs to stay calm. Leave the emotions outside the gate.
Yep.
Come, support, show yourselves. I'll be there. I'll be there with the camera to show the support as well. But yeah, let's just make sure everyone is calm.
Yeah. And look, I think that's great, Pavel, to have actually some documentation of how it all looks, because I think people would say that the way that the 2019 attempted AGM in September was characterised perhaps wasn't a fair assessment of what actually happened.
So with the nominations being posted up on the board that have been up recently, it looks like only one person from the existing committee is remaining. What's your opinion on that?
It's a tricky one, it's hard to understand because there has been no engagement with members around the committee's intentions, whether to stay on in, some fashion, not at all, or the way that it's been with just the one person put forward. I think there are various theories. It's not worth speculating. I think we simply see what happens on the day.
Yeah. So with the people that have been nominated to the new committee, do you know them, and do you support any people? What do you think?
Yes, so look, there are about 8 nominations that went in, so for the key positions of President, Vice President, Treasurer and Secretary, and then 4 committee positions. These are all people who have either a history of involvement in the club itself, past committee members, or people who have been involved in other Polish organisations. And then there is, 1 or 2 people who are children of life members, because we want to integrate that part of our community back into the fold, which are maybe people that hadn't been so involved are now coming back in. But look, certainly the names that have gone up, the one I'm not familiar with is Paul Novak. He apparently is the current vice president, although, that has not been confirmed in recent times by the committee. So other than him, I can say I do know those people personally. I do support on a personal level their candidacy, and I think generally the Polonia Matters Collective would say that they're the preferred nominees from our side.
Great, so it's looking positive.
It is. I mean, look, it remains to see on the day whether any last-minute nominations come in from the floor, but yeah.
Yeah, and that could be a potential herring there as well, especially with the people not being able to attend the meeting because they don't know if there are financial members or they're even able to vote.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And what about life members? What's your opinion on that? Do you think they'll be able to vote? Because she's specifically said only financial members, but life members never had to pay for the card or the membership, so they are technically financial.
Yes, look, I mean, that's the big distinction. A life member is simply or enjoys all of the rights of an ordinary member but does not have to pay dues. We actually are encountering this issue. There was a nomination that was knocked back by the committee because they said that the proposer was a life member in the sense, in the Polish sense, it's honorowy członek.
So honorary member.
Honorary member. And that has a particular definition under the Constitution, which says that it's a person who doesn't qualify for ordinary membership but has rendered distinguished service to the club. So the only qualifying factor for ordinary membership is that you be Polish. So basically, an honorary membership is conferred on someone who is not Polish but has rendered honourable service to the club, right, or distinguished service. But the committee appears to be saying, because your certificate says the word honorowy in Polish, that is translated to honorary, and that is the end of the story. You are an honorary member, which contradicts not only the Constitution, the legal interpretation of that, it also contradicts the past practice. So many of these people have been on the committee before. As an honorary member, you don't have that entitlement. So that's contradicted. And then just linguistically, the way the word in Polish conversation is used, honorowy członek, it denotes life member. It is how the life members describe themselves, and historically has been used in that way. There is another word, dożywotny członek, which could mean life member technically, but that term, dożywotny członek, is not used in popular parlance.
Right. Okay. Well, very, very interesting. We shall find out on Tuesday, right? So The committee, and I don't know who was commenting on Facebook the other day, and if you haven't seen that, watch my previous video, which will be in the link above. But the Facebook group, which was very lively, and I was banned very quickly from, because yes, watch the video. It was a very lively discussion. Whoever was writing on there, I don't know who it was. As I said, I think it must have been Alice, or there was a group of people that were writing very quickly and responding very quickly to many posts politically, and they were choosing which questions to answer. And one question that they refused to answer, which was, they said that the OFT denied their extension for the end of April meeting, so everyone can attend on a Saturday after hours and be comfortable. You've spoken to the OFT. Has there ever been an application for an extension?
Not in recent times that I was aware of, and it is based on my discussions with the OFT yesterday. It's my understanding that there was no such prescription about when the meeting had to be held. In fact, the OFT, as of mid-March, had no indication that there would be an AGM held by the end of March. Look, I think on a purely practical level, even if that had been the insistence of the OFT, there were other ways to go about ensuring maximum participation, which would have been use a different venue. Alternative venue. There are many venues within the Polish community. There's the club at Dara, there's the club at Kapala Bar. The committee...
The Polish church.
The Polish church at Bowen Hills, exactly. Or there are totally impartial, third-party venues, community halls, what have you. If your club is occupied and you didn't have the foresight to think, let's book out that weekend because we've been dealing with the OFT for 18 months and we know we need to have an AGM, so we probably should book out a date at some point. If you didn't have the foresight to do that, then make alternative arrangements that would have enabled the meeting to take place on a Saturday or Sunday, has been tradition since before 2018, and ensures maximum participation. Obviously, it's very difficult for people to get time off work 2:00 on a work day.
Yeah, and that was one of my questions, was show me the proof of the extension being denied, and I think that's what got me banned, because I repeated that question constantly. If you were denied, show me the proof. Show us the proof. Be transparent and show the community that you do care and you're trying to do the best thing.
Yeah, I think also us. I'll just add that one of the other, in the committee's justification, they have said that they have been unable to hold this meeting due to COVID and related restrictions. I think someone pointed out that actually another association, community association, was able to hold its AGM at the club, or at least it appears that way through publicly available documents, in October of 2020. And that would be interesting in and of itself, but beyond that, there's actually a management committee member who is common to both committees. So I find it certainly a question to be asked, and very interesting why in one case, the committee in the Polish club context is saying they couldn't have any, the meeting couldn't go ahead, COVID restrictions and so on, and yet it appears that another association was able to have its AGM last year. And not only that, there have been major gatherings at the club since the beginning of the year. So the 2 market days are a good example of that, where you have hundreds of people filtering through that venue. And that apparently is not a COVID risk. So I just am really puzzled.
Yeah. And in my last video, I did post the picture of that previous meeting being held at the Polish club. And obviously the picture will be here below somewhere as well when I post it. So yes, there is proof that other meetings have been held there and organizations are gathering there, especially for market day, and the restaurants open. So COVID, although a very good excuse, it's not a good enough excuse, especially with Zoom being available.
That's right. Zoom, that is certainly enables people who might be at work to take part. I'm sure they might not be able to get to the club physically, but they could leave their desk and tune in for an hour or so. Yes, there are other ways to accommodate people that unfortunately it appears are not being taken up.
One thing not on the agenda is the questioning of membership. What's your opinion on that?
Look, the agenda is a little bit bizarre as far as agendas go. I've been involved in many committees and continue to be, and I'm responsible for drafting agendas and so on. So look, it's interesting. It differs to the items of business in the Constitution that are provided that should be addressed in an annual AGM. It also seems to omit certain things that should be on there, like, for example, the presentation and voting on the 2020 financial report. That doesn't not on there anywhere. There's always an item at the very end for general business or open forum, which is, you can ask questions about anything that hasn't been addressed in the prior items, that members have that opportunity, because that is their one opportunity, that general meeting, to really ask questions and get engagement from the committee. So that's interesting. There's also a very interesting reference to the presentation of the 2019 AGM minutes, and that will need to be voted on. Now, I think most people are scratching their heads wondering, well, what meeting are they referring to? Because as far as most people are concerned, they do not know of a meeting that validly took place as the 2019 AGM. So interesting. Watch this space. We'll have to see what the members who are able to attend are able to say about that. And I should just say that members have made multiple attempts to request these documents in advance of the meeting. I think it's entirely reasonable under general circumstances, but especially where the meeting time and date is inconvenient, therefore members cannot attend and need to appoint proxies. It is entirely reasonable for them to have access to documents in advance that they will be voting on by proxy. Otherwise, they're giving their proxy to another member, not knowing and what they're actually voting on. So that's been very disappointing from the club side.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a chairperson of another committee, and for myself to have a proxy, I would expect the person that's providing me the proxy to know what I'm voting on behalf of them and what has transpired in the previous meetings. So it's concerning. It's very, very scary about what can happen, because proxy forms, as you know, you're voting on behalf of someone else, and so you're signing off. So, this is very, very concerning, and it screams voter fraud in some cases as well. We're not going to go into that right now, but yeah, it is very, very scary.
Yeah, I would really like to hear from the committee how they expect people to vote in an informed manner, which they absolutely have the right to do, if they're not provided the documents in advance and they are unable to attend due to inconvenient scheduling.
Or they can't leave their, as I said, elderly homes. The elderly members can't leave their home or whatever because they can't even find parking in Milton at 2:00 on an afternoon.
Look, I think the club has come out with some comments saying that the car park will be made available. So again, we'll
car park
see.
does too?
Well, yes, we'll see
The one that
what happens.
they're renting out,
No.
which not. So it's going to be interesting.
We'll have to see.
And probably the last couple of questions is, let's say this all goes through, new committees voted in, we get our club back, we hope. What reputational damage will this cause to us, and can the community get back together and fix this?
Look, I think that has been one of the most unfortunate aspects to this, is that because of the amount of external attention we've had to try and get in order to try and resolve some of the issues and concerns, it is possible that there is, an opinion now out in the broader community that, the polls are having issues, there's infighting, there's whatever going on, and perhaps that might lead to some reluctance to engage with the community in future, or even, so far as things like grant funding. Maybe someone will think twice before putting those kind of benefits to the community because of perceived reputational issues. What I will say on a positive note, though, I think the rallying by the community has been amazing, and so it really has brought together people, like in the same way that Polaks was a really positive engagement opportunity. This also has been, and it's very heartening to see that when things matter, people do. Polonia does matter. People have stepped up, and it's just a really good lesson in, the way that communities can come together for certain needs. I think so reputationally it's good in that sense. It's just, leads to maybe, and this is one of the kind of broader messages, we all need to be vigilant about what's going on in clubs that we care about, in any professional or social group that we belong to. It's very easy to we're all time poor, we're all doing a million things. You sort of get a bit complacent, you're not really keeping up with what's going on, you let other people vote for you, you do whatever. But this has just been a great lesson that I think at all times, if you care about something, you need to be engaged, and let's not leave it to, 11th hour situations, which then can be quite difficult to try and get any kind of resolution in. So look, in terms of future opportunities, I think I encourage people to join up if that in fact becomes a possibility after this meeting, and to sign up for the committee, especially like among the young professionals. We've got people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, really good source of potential, involvement on committee positions. Get those people. I would encourage you to become involved. And then, just in terms of events and participation at that club, that is something that we have not seen. COVID aside, we have not seen any real events other than Market Day held at that club. We need to come together as a community again, patronise that club in terms of, attending, and really breathe some life back that, we got the opportunity to do post-Polar. Let's pick up that momentum again.
Yeah, and I think this is the really important message here is it's not just about the Polish Club. It's the Polish Association of Queensland. The Polish Club is a physical premises, but the loss of that physical premises could hinder us in so many ways. But it is the Polish Association of Queensland. It's not just the Polish clubs. There's Zakopane. There's other forms of there's other land there as well that could be impacted by all of whatever the agenda of the previous committee was, or the current committee and hopefully the previous committee. So this could have quite damaging impacts forward for Polish people in the Polish Association.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also relevant to any club. Any club beyond just ethnic clubs.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking your precious time, and we are all volunteers here as well. We're not getting paid to do all this as well.
No, and I think thank you so much, Pavel, for the opportunity. To people who have reached out to me directly, I would just like to thank you for reaching out and just apologise if I've not been able to respond personally to you. It is just a little bit overwhelming, the volume of correspondence that we've had to deal with, and that's not just from community, but also obviously with Office of Fair Trading, lawyers, and so on. Yeah. So please, thank you for the opportunity to engage. Please take this as my response as to an update on what's going on. And, I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday if you are able to make it and you do, fit that kind of category of member or who has been denied further involvement or someone who has an appeal in process that has not been resolved. And let's see if we're admitted. Yeah.
And, once the dust settles, and hopefully it will settle quickly, I'd love to get back and speak about the Federation and its agenda. For the new year and how we're going to succeed as a Polish organisation. Yeah. So, yes, again, thank you everyone for your support. Please subscribe, like and share this video. There's going to be a couple more videos and I am going to be there on Tuesday. So if you can reporting live, delayed by the couple of hours of editing that I need to do. So please be there, please support, and share the message. If you know someone that should be there at this meeting, tell them, come and help us out. Parking might be a bit difficult, but there are bus stops, city
public
cab,
transport.
Yeah. Plan ahead. That's all I can say. Plan ahead.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Pavel,
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.